Welcome, everybody, to another Oreninc Podcast Series. This is episode number 35. I'm joined by Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist. Mickey, thanks for joining us here this afternoon.
Thanks a lot, Kai.
It's always a pleasure. Last time we spoke, we sat together on the floor at PDAC, and that's one of the topics I want to talk about with you as well, because we did our interview sort of on the first day, early in the morning, meaning 11 a.m. or something, and the conference just started, and I want to get your feel for it a bit. What do you think came out of it as well? But we're also going to talk about, as always, copper or metal prices, price developments. And you mentioned something you want to talk about, which really fits well in with what we're doing here at Oreninc, is the number of open placements. And if I would have known a little earlier, I could have gone into our stats and looked at how many placements are actually open right now. Because I've seen a flurry of placements just last week, and it's been really frustrating to see, and I joked about it on Twitter. But on Friday night, I was actually lying in bed. I was going through Stockwatch, the press releases. I just skimmed through the headlines. And just on the front page, I think I saw 4 placements. One of them was for $100,000 and 3 were shares for debt placements. That was really sad. And it made me want to cry. So I put that on Twitter, I think like 7 or 8 o'clock Vancouver time. So not a lot of people probably saw that. But I felt like I needed to put that out there. So, because it's a good representation of the mood out in the industry at this point. And let me start off. I've got to, as always, talk about the Oreninc Index real quick. Not much happening besides some major bought deals and showing that there is actually money to be raised. We've seen Bluestone increase their private place or their bought deal, twice actually, from 10 million to 16 and now up to 22. So there is positive feedback on that front. Lundin Gold, I don't think I've seen the financing close. I might be wrong. Please leave a comment underneath the video or so if I'm mistaken there. And there was another bought deal just recently. I think Pure Gold did another $4.5 million bought deal. Our index actually is jumping up because of that. Bonterra is the one I also wanted to mention. I almost forgot. That is doing a $35 to $37 million placement. That is really lifting our index up to almost 60 points this week, which means we're getting into a more healthy environment. But if you take out those big deals, it looks still measly out there. I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It looks pretty shaky out there to me. I know of 18 private placements right now, 2/3 of which I would say are very good companies, good to very good companies, and they've been on the board for quite some time and they haven't closed. And you see terms changing, you see closing in tranches.
Yep.
And schemes. So going from a half warrant to a full warrant so they can make the terms a little more palatable. Longer terms, 2 to 3. I've even seen 5-year warrants. Prices that have come off the initial raise at or below market. Low markups on warrants. Repricing warrants. So it looks to me like capital raising, even for some of the better companies. You know, we've talked before about the haves and haves not. Some of these are the haves, and it's tough out there right now. Here's an indication for me. I've participated in exactly 1 private placement in the last 7 months, and I had an ongoing relationship with this company and decided that it was good enough that I wanted to participate in a small way again. But it's a tough market out there, Kai.
Oh, it is, and when you see companies trying to raise $5 million and they have to use 4 to 5 different brokerage houses to get it done. And they have to add a warrant later on. It is quite frustrating.
Yeah, and most people would prefer to bypass the brokerage houses to begin with. So, I looked at the number of warrants I have right now. I think I have 9 warrant certificates, and only a couple of those are in the money. And couple of them are coming up in the next 3 or 4 months. And my tactic right now is I go to the companies and say, either reprice these warrants and or extend them if you ever want my money again, because most of them are companies that were startups or early stage, and when you're a seed stock shareholder or pre-IPO or an early stage shareholder, you feel like you should be taken care of, and so there's a couple of companies that have repriced their warrants, and there's one that didn't, and I'll never participate with them again.
No, that's a valid point, and especially when money is very hard to come by. At least take care of the people that support you in the beginning. So, absolutely,
I think that's incumbent on good companies. Good management should know they need to do that.
No, that wouldn't make sense, and I fully agree with that. That brings me actually to the next topic we wanted to talk about real quick, is PDAC. So obviously there's no momentum ever coming out of that conference in terms of market activity. But we do see quite a bit of activity, and I spoke to a couple companies today as well on the corporate development front. But financing-wise, it's pretty dead. And you mentioned we haven't even seen fortunately, we haven't seen a drop-off in market activity entirely.
No, I mean, the volumes have been good, Kai. Up since PDAC, up this week over last week, moderate volumes, I would say. The index has been up 10 of 12 days since PDAC. It's not up much, but it's up 3% during that period of time, and so that's encouraging. The market, I think, is waiting for stronger metal prices, and gold's back above 1,300, 1,309 as we speak, and it may test 1,300 again. I kind of expect that, but it never got down to, once it went past below 1,300, it did not even come close to testing the next resistance, which was about 1,275. So that seems constructive to me.
Yeah, no, it was quite positive. I think it bounced off 1,280 a couple times before it went back higher. So, and the Fed did us a favor yesterday by announcing there's pretty much no more rate hikes this year.
Trump wins again, huh?
It sounds like it.
Well, he really bashed Powell. Powell came out in December, and they were talking 2 or 3 rate increases this year, and then lo and behold, Trump comes in and starts bashing Powell again, and we get weak economic numbers, and all of a sudden, when we had a session at the bar and a podcast a couple of months ago in Vancouver, I think you and I talked about the over and under for rate increases. I think it was in January, and we said, will it be 1 or will it be 2? And it looks like now it's going to be 0.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that because it's good for us. And let's hope the U.S. kind of starts concluding, or the trade talks with China as well start to put an end to that. Because copper looks like it wants to break out. We're scratching the $3 mark from below again. We might want to break out through that level. So,
well, there's the last time we talked, which was at PDAC, copper had taken this next leg up, and it's held in that 290 to 297 range. It's now been up at that level for about a month. Has not tried to break out either to the upside or the downside, and it's just consolidating from 290 to 297 on a daily basis.
That's a really constructive setup. So
yeah, it is, and analysts are really starting to get on board. I've participated in 4 webinars over the last week about copper or copper companies. Analysts are nearly all on board now. The supply-demand fundamentals, which we talked about before, are compelling, but this trade tariff overhang is kind of beating the market back a bit. But over the last month, you're starting to see the hedge funds come into the market with long positions after they were massively short in January. They're small long positions, but but the net longs are stronger and stronger. So copper's trying to break out. I think it's going to take some catalyst, and that's probably going to be some resolution of one way, shape, or form. Don't expect a total resolution, but some progress on the China-U.S. Spat that we have going on right now.
And the zinc stocks are at an all-time low, from what I hear as well. So inventory is at an all-time low. So that's
and zinc price has been quite positive too. It's at about $1.30 right now, which is considerably higher. I think it started the year somewhere around $1.10, $1.14, something like that.
No, that's a constructive setup moving forward here, and let's hope those open financings get closed fairly soon, or at least just close them for the sake of it, because it looks embarrassing.
I'm not real positive on some of these.
I'm not saying they're going to be fully subscribed either.
The only one that I know is really closed. There was a 10-cent financing, or closed quickly, or oversubscribed, let me say, a 10-cent financing that when the stock was trading about 14 cents. So that closed pretty quickly with a full warrant.
Now, I've actually participated. I got lucky here last week with participating in one financing. The stock was trading at like 32 cents, and the financing was at 25. And actually,
just hope it holds there for 4 months,
mate. Exactly. That's 4 months of agony now. So just hope and pray with me. So.
Yeah, and so it will come free trading right before the summer doldrums. Or let me think. No, we're into March, mid-March. We'll be right in the middle of the summer doldrums.
No, the good thing is I'm not a 4-month
flipper. So good luck
flipper,
on that.
Oh, I know. But I'm not a 4-month flipper, but I've usually, because I believe in the project, that's why I participate.